So a couple days ago, I was at Bay's house and I came across this majestic piece of historical art. It's a mousetrap car that me and Bay made about 4 years ago for our ninth grade tech class. Clearly, we took some inspiration from that one Mark Rober video, and clearly also it's not functional. So for nostalgia's sake, I'm gonna try to repair this back to its former glory, and maybe it'll be even better than it was before, who knows. The principle is pretty simple. The mousetrap over here, attached to this long piece of wood, there's a string at the end, winds around this little zip tie on the axle here, which is now completely detached from the wheel. After it's wound up, when you let it go, it'll just slowly move the wheel forward. Yeah. Really simple. Alright, so I'm gonna start off by just disassembling it.
The disassembly wasn't all that complicated. All I had to do was to rip apart some tape and hot glue, but I was pretty amused by how much hot glue I needed for everything.
Before, I literally just had a piece of tape and a zip tie to wrap the string on. Now I'm just gonna cut this piece of metal in half and then use screws to kind of clamp it onto the piece of metal so it doesn't turn around.
Next, I just put together the entire contraption. It was just two pieces of metal clamped onto an axle. And afterwards, I had to sand off all of the paper on the vinyl label, and that way the two pieces of wood would stick on better. And around here, I should mention that my hot glue at home was really bad, so I didn't end up using it that much. Just as some backstory, this project was done for our woodworking class, and we had a competition with the other groups in the class. Our car ended up going across the common area of our school and back, so I think that's approximately 45-50 meters. Anyways, at this point, I'm filing and sanding off the paint that got to places where it shouldn't have been, and I'm also filing down the edges. And here I'm just using Sharpies to trace over all the words we wrote on the side because they were kind of faded out. And of course we wrote Pizza Hut all over it because, Anyways, now I started work on the arm. First I cut out a little groove so that it would fit better on the mousetrap. Afterwards, I also filed the edges of this arm. This piece of wood had many imperfections on it, like holes and cracks, so I collected all of the sawdust and mixed it with some wood glue to use as kind of a filling for those imperfections. After this, I started work on the front wheels. So first, I drilled a couple of pieces of cardboard and plastic that I would use to attach the CD to the axle, and then I just glued that onto the CD. This hot glue did end up coming off, so I had to put super glue on it, because again, my hot glue sucks. To prevent the front wheels from moving side to side, I just put two zip ties onto the axle. Shortly afterwards, the glue and sawdust filling was dry, so I started filing that down. It didn't look too good, but it was a lot better than before. And finally, I could get to the painting step. I used a sponge to apply the paint, and I'm not sure if that was a good idea or not, but it worked pretty well, so it's fine. And if you're wondering why we chose this red and yellow color scheme, I honestly have no idea, but I'm not going to change it because that's how it was originally. Speaking of preserving the original, I also kept the old handwriting even though it was pretty bad.
Subscribe.
I ended up needing around 3 coats of paint for the color to actually start standing out enough. And afterwards, I started tracing out some more words that were supposed to be over the paint. By this time, my Sharpie was kind of running out, but thankfully it lasted long enough. Finally, I got to putting everything back together again, and just like the good old days, everything was done with duct tape. Who am I kidding? I still do that. This screw I put in was to prevent the arm from going down too low and hitting the ground, a minor detail. Along with the duct tape, I also put some more hot glue to help it out, because hot glue and duct tape, they're the best combination ever. With the arm finally done, I reattached the front wheels and I attached the back wheel, and we were done. So after that little montage that was way cooler than it should have been, let's see this thing moving. Now I couldn't actually find a long stretch of ground outside to do this in, so I just cleared out a little path in my apartment. Of course, when it hits the end, I'm gonna have to reset it and turn it around, so the distance measured here is gonna be completely off. And there's two reasons for that. First of all, when I stop it and turn it around, it has to accelerate again from a standstill, and it doesn't keep any of the momentum it had before. And second, after the string falls off, the car can still travel quite a distance if you let it coast. Eventually, the car went across my apartment and then back and then across again, which is approximately 24 meters and 40 centimeters. In reality, if I let it go as far as it could without stopping it and turning around, I think it could have probably hit around 40 meters, which, from my memory at least, is just about how good it was when we made it originally in grade 9. So of course it's not that good, but overall I was really happy with this project because I got to get hit by some nostalgia and to wrap up my high school journey with the project that started it.
I sure wonder why we named it that.